Well, it's a bit of now or never, right? We have these big changes to the geopolitical structure of the world. We have a situation where the US, China, and Europe are competing for influence. If Europe wants to be strong, if it wants to have a strategic autonomy, it needs to increase its military and its financial power. And to increase its financial power and economic power, you need a safe asset. And Europe doesn't have it. Just imagine the US without treasuries. Would it be the same? I think the answer is no.
Well, if I can bring it back to the ECB, of course, Christine Lagarde's been touting a bigger role for the euro. Similarly, surely a deeper bond market would increase Europe's independence from the US in this multipolar world we're in.
Exactly, and I think that's very important. The ECB until now, or until a couple of months ago, had a bit of an ambiguous view on the international role of the euro, right? Neither promote nor discourage. I think that changed with Christine Lagarde's speech in Berlin, I think it was in May. And now it's actively promoting the international role of the euro. Now, how can the euro be a true international currency similar to the dollar if it doesn't have a safe asset to offer on which global investors can invest?
But again, I suppose to the point of what signals and signs out there are you looking at to see that this might be a plan that a majority or the majority of European countries would actually take up? I mean, you talk about, you could look at maybe the idea that there will be huge defence spending in NATO countries in Europe, but that actually hasn't happened yet. It's still a road that's being laid. What are the signals on Eurobonds?
So I think there are two signals. One is they already exist. So the EU bonds and bills are already part of the European financial system. In fact, people don't really realize the EU is going to be the biggest issuer in Europe next year in terms of flow. So they already exist. And then second, as you very well say, we are going into a world where Europe is going to have to invest a lot in the next several years. Now they're having a discussion about the next EU budget. I think there is going to be a conversation. It hasn't really started that way, as you are saying, but it is going to start about, very good, we want to do all these things. How are we going to fund this? How are we going to improve the funding conditions for European investments? And that's the issue.
But is the main argument for this investment economics, or is it political? Is it about creating a more unified European continent?
I think it's both, right? Both Enrico Letta and Mario Draghi have reports in which both are arguing you need to increase investment and you need to improve and boost the single market. If you don't defragment Europe, you are not going to have a stronger growth. And to defragment Europe, you also need to defragment the management of the debt. So it is both. You need the economics to get stronger and the politics to also get together to get to that place.
How do you get over the moral hazard issue? This is the main complaint of more conservative economies within Europe, which is why there has been an absolutely steadfast refusal to even countenance this.
So the moral hazard issue was very important, 10 years ago, right? 10 years ago when this discussion started, it was very important because at the time, the discussion was about bailing out countries. There were a lot of imbalances. There were countries in trouble. Fast forward to COVID. Very quickly, there was an agreement on the Next Generation EU funded with Eurobonds. It wasn't anymore about moral hazard. It was about the stability of the European economy. So fast forward to today. The imbalances are gone. There are no countries with big current account deficit. Look at Spain. It went from -10 current account deficit to +2 current account surplus. So now you have a European economy where imbalances are smaller, where the differences are smaller, and where the issue is about looking forward. What do we want to do together? Of course, there is always going to be issues about misbehaviors, right? But those are never going to go away.
So what is the advantage and how would you sell this to European leaders? I mean, would it also aid with economic growth, which is a fundamental problem for Europe too?
Exactly. And I think the answer is yes. And we have the proof. The Next Generation EU has made the European economy much more stable. Just look at the recovery since 2020. That's been a steady decline in unemployment. You have the lowest unemployment ever in the Eurozone since the creation of the euro. There has been no hysteresis or no change really in the structure of growth, in potential growth. And a big component of that has been the fact that with the next generation EU, plus the changes in the ECB policy, the TPI and QE and all that, there was never a fear of losing market access, of having a run on the weakest countries in the Eurozone. So that has created a stronger Eurozone with a stronger growth. That benefits Germany as well. And I think that's very important.